And so this is the beginning path of mukti. Mukti means I want free from this. I've had problems in sexual relationships, so I'm free. I'm over sexual relationships. I have problems in indulgence. I eat too much. I drink too much. I've got addicted to this. I'm over that. So these are called tyagis. And tyagis, they practice tyag, which is renunciation. Vairagya, another way to say renouncing the world. And by that renunciation, and by the way, you'll see these not just on yoga paths in Indian culture, but you'll see this in spiritual orders all around. You'll notice these people just renounce the world. And so there's a cut from the so-called sensual pleasure, but there's a, if they're doing it right, a deepness in their connection to their inner self. And they have to go there. So a lot of these, the Jnana yogis, tyagis, they cut off these senses like that. They live more a very monastic life. And they want this mukti, or this freedom from the pain. Now, the idea or the final goal of mukti is emergence. And you'll hear yogis talk about this either knowingly, quoting references, or they'll just say it sort of like in a new age sort of way. Like, I want to merge with the light, or I want to be one with God. So that idea is that the divinity, the deity, actually has an effulgence. It's called Brahma Jyoti, or the light of Brahman. The Jyoti means the light. And so the jiva, they want the jiva, which is pure, to merge and become one with the divine. Right? And and you escape this pain of being embodied. So that is the final goal for the yogi who wants to merge. Now, there is a problem with this, is even though you can merge, so to speak, for a long time, you still must come back. You still must come back, because the jiva is actually eternally individual. That means you don't actually merge, right? Imagine taking a little, how can I make a good analogy of it? A black bird flies into a black forest. That doesn't make sense. A green bird flies into a green forest. How about that analogy? In one sense, you can't see that bird anymore. It's a bunch of leaves around and a green bird. He stays there for a long time. He's very safe. He's free from the predators. This is a great analogy. I just made it up. But he never loses identity. And he might feel peaceful and safe in that forest. I love this analogy. But he eventually will leave that. He won't stay there forever. So in the same sense, the idea of bhakti as our final goal is, the goal isn't to escape pain for those who are on the path of bhakti. This is the path I'm on. The goal is to serve and to give. I was telling a client earlier that our job is not to try to find pleasure in this world. Pleasure and pain come no matter what. Just in the same way, you don't look for pain, but pain comes, isn't it? No one's looking around like, how can I break my leg today? But you know what? You might break your leg, because people break their leg all the time. And just like you don't look for pain, you don't have to look for pleasure. Pleasure will also come also. For example, here's Mother Teresa. She's dedicated her life to service. Does that mean her whole life is miserable? No. I'm sure she has lots of pleasure. I'm sure she gets a lot of accolades. I'm sure she probably had more famous people, gets a lot of love internationally, gets so much wealth showered upon her, right? But that doesn't mean she's looking for that. It means she's just in the mood to serve. People shower wealth on her, she uses the wealth. People put her in a very beautiful limousine. Oh, we are happy to have you as a guest to our country. She's not looking like, I'm not going to go unless there's a limo. That's not her mood. Her mood is just to serve. And then whatever she gets, be it living with people in Calcutta who are starving and desperate and suffering from leprosy, she'll take that. And if sometimes she gets brought as an ambassador and brought into a country and put in a nice hotel, she'll take that. All of her desire is to serve. That is the mood of bhakti. That is the mood of bhakti, that we'll take on pain, and we'll take on pleasure. We'll take on whatever you want. Our mood is folded hands. My Lord, whatever you want. Whatever you want, we'll do. So that is the mood of bhakti. Means I don't want to escape pain. It means I just want to serve. I just want to give. And the interesting thing about that is the goal and the path are the same. There's service in this world. Why? So I become free and then I can just enjoy. No, it's not. It's not my whole life is suffering and there's some pie in the sky when you die. It's the whole life is to give. I'm born here to give. And what's the spiritual revelation is at the time of emancipation of the jiva, there's still service. It's a life of giving. And the interesting thing, well, who wants, in our culture, to say a life of service sounds like, well, that sounds like slavery, right? But it's the love that we feel. If you're a parent, I'm a parent. So it's the love that we feel in taking care. That's where we get our reciprocation from. My kids, they're all hungry. So I make this big meal. I take on the burden of buying the groceries. I take on the burden of making the meal. I set the table. These kids are little, they don't do anything. And then they eat the whole meal fast. I cook, it takes me hours to cook. They eat it in 2 seconds. And then I gotta clean it up. But if you've ever talked to a cook who's in that position, and you say, hey, why don't you sit down and eat? Oftentimes they say, it's okay, I'm not that hungry, I'm just, right? Because they're not getting the pleasure from the eating. They're getting in the reciprocation and in the love that they're giving, right? That is the mood of bhakti, right? Except we're doing it towards the divine, towards God, towards Krishna, whatever you want to call your higher power. The mood is, I'm here to serve you, my Lord, and then in that sense, I get to serve all the other living entities. If I can serve the divine, then everybody in my universe will also benefit, right? Because first of all, there's divinity in every living being. Not just humans also, by the way. All the animals. Not just the cute animals. Not just the, right, I have a very cute dog, and I've got a bunch of cute cats. It's not, divinity doesn't reside in all the cute animals. Divinity resides in every living entity. Every living entity is a unique individual. And part of our development in bhakti is to recognize that, just to become even beyond bhakti, not beyond bhakti, but even be preliminary to bhakti, just to be a thoughtful person. It's important to recognize that everybody is embodied, no matter what body they have, not just race, not just ethnicity, not just sex, but every species is an embodied soul. They all are a soul embodied, and their bodies have limitations of what they can do. The tree can stand a very long time, live longer than me, but he can't drive a Porsche. I can drive a Porsche, a tree can't. But the tree lives a very long time. But the tree is also struggling to survive. And a dog and a cat and a roach and a swan, they're all embodied. They're all eating and sleeping and mating and defending, right? And there should be a mutual respect and consideration for all living entities. Imagine a culture where we respected all the trees as citizens. Imagine a culture where we respected all humans, no matter where they're from, no matter what their belief system is, whether they're spiritual or atheist or whatever. Imagine if you respected them as spiritual persons. Imagine if you respected this planet as a person. Wouldn't that be a different world? That is the paradigm of the transcendentalist, of the bhakti yogi. Make sense? Does that make sense? Do we get the difference now? Namaste.